Hi. Okay, so I've been talking about how to move through this fire that's here, this refining fire, because it's now starting to ignite upon the earth, okay? And it's starting to spread, it's starting to intensify. And this is because it's this the kingdom of heaven when it comes to earth is like a fading in, fading out, okay? And as it fades in and fades out, that's this transition stage that I'm going through. And because there are those who have sought for the kingdom of heaven and become a part of it, they are bringing it to earth because they have brought that fullness of Christ through their purification, through Him coming and be able to come and become a part of them. They have brought that spirit here. So now they are becoming a part, that light, which is also that fire. And it's through their words, through their prayers, through their desires, because it is they are holding the desires of God, so His will is going to be done because their will is now God's will. They've given it completely over, and so He is using their will to recreate this earth. Okay, so He'll be speaking through them and speaking just powerful words that are going to be growing in power as they themselves are growing in light and understanding. So this is all coming, the kingdom comes in understanding, okay? Because it's the renewing of your mind is something very real that happens within you, that you transition fully. And that's what I'm talking about, and that's why I'm addressing this issue of shame, because this is the very beginning, and I'm going to go back out, okay, and explain, because this is how you're going to walk through this fire. If you have not yet been through this transition, okay? Or you may be in the middle of it, but I pray that these words help paint the path so that you know how to walk, all right? Because I've walked this path, so I have been there. I have been through these battles. I have had all of this happen in my life. So what happens is you, because of the shame that you have felt, you have clothed yourself in fig leaves in idols. All right, and I described what some of those are, and I was talking about those religious ones where that's why you're so tied to, or why people are so tied to going to church and singing the songs and tithing and doing kind of these just redundant religious activities, okay? Because that's part of their covering, but it's a false covering, okay? Because you don't get clothed like that from the outside. It's the love of God coming from within you, okay? That's the clothes that you want. The garments that you wear are of light. They're supposed to be, and that is that perfect love shining out. And your relationship with God, because He is spirit and He is living, breathing relationship is real. It can't be defined by static activities, because that image in itself takes the breath of life out of that relationship. Okay, and it makes it a image, a false covering. Okay, so that's why you have to forsake all of the images in your life, because and let God create it, because that's what it means for Him to be truly in being a relationship and being it real, is that you're not governing everything. So there's nothing on the outside that's telling you what your life looks like as someone who follows God. Nothing. It's all coming from within you, and God's creating it according to His wills and desires for your life. Okay, so these idols that people put on, other ones that they do. So I've been talking about ones that are more accepted by the world. And the reason that I'm mentioning these examples is because I want you to examine your own life by them. Okay? And here's a good way to know what your idols are. If something was taken away from you, would it cause a lot of fear and anxiety? Where, okay, because that's the thing, idols create fear. Inherent in an idol is fear, because it's covering the death state of your soul. And that's what you realize when you first felt that shame. There was an ugliness there, something that seemed just unlovable, unacceptable, worthless, not worthy. Okay, it's the death that you were feeling, those lies. Remember I said death is two of the main lies, is that you're unlovable and you're not valued, that you're hated. So to cover all those emotions, people have created all these outward things of their images of what they deem as acceptable, and they make great sacrifices for those things. Their actual image, the work that they do, even their families. Some women just totally sacrifice themselves for their families. Okay, that is showing an unhealthy image there, an unhealthy association. If you're making sacrifices for something, otherwise you're taking on harm or harming others or dishonor or dishonoring others for something, a relationship, a job, whatever it is, then that is an idol for you. Okay, and that's why God has to destroy it, because it is harming you and it never satisfies. But you do have these idols that the world would say, well, that's fine. So this lustful image of the women, very successful businessmen, these religious coverings. Now, again, some of these things, when you come into a purity with God, He purifies all these things. Okay, so they're all pure to you. So everything that you partake of is pure. So you can have true beauty, but it won't have any lust in it. And that's because everything that God creates is beautiful. Okay? And this is the thing, is you understand the love of God for you, you're going to be able to let go of that, because you realize what He gives you is much better. And that's a perfect example. Women, when they give up that lust image and all that it entails, what they find is real beauty. Okay, that is far more beautiful, truly, than the image that they were creating before. You could be a man in business, and you can sacrifice and that be your idol, but once you let that go, then God can bless you in that business, because now you're not being directed by it, because those idols control you, they direct you, they govern you. Okay, but once you let go of that and now God's govern you, He can give you that, but it will be without corruption, it will be without curses, it will be without sorrow, because it's been purified. All right, and that's true with relationships. You can have certain relationships that maybe before, a man and a woman always had bad relationships, because that's how she covered her shame, by being promiscuous, sleeping around, whatever it is. So that was something that became an idol for her. Well, God can purify that. Okay, so that now she's being governed from the inside, so the decisions that she makes in any relationship is full of honor and full of love and full of truth. It's going to look very different. But again, you can have some things, but they have to be purified, right? On the flip side, I want to address some of these coverings that people put on that sometimes still cause an outward shame, but to them it's still a comfort. For example, when people overeat to the detriment of their own health, so that they become obese, or when women undereat, same thing, that greatly damages their health because now they're way underweight. They are doing that because they're trying to deal again with those hurtful, painful emotions within them, and those acts have been found as a comfort. Okay, but you see that they're just very, very destructive. Getting addicted to drugs, alcohol, porn, gambling, all these other things are things on the outside that we wouldn't necessarily say, a lot of people would have discernment, right? That's not exactly a good thing to do, unlike these other things that people may not have such discernment in. But they're still the fig leaves, and they're still idols, and people make great sacrifices for them. It rules them, it controls them, and why it is so tied is because it's covering up that shame, which is covering up those feelings of feeling unacceptable, unloved, unworthy. Why this is so important for you to understand is because if you have yet to go through this transition, those coverings that people have had are going to start to decay. Okay? They are falling in the presence of God's Spirit being here. And that's what brings in the Great Tribulation, because most people have not sought for God truly. But a lot of people have a lot of idols. and a lot of dirty garments that are covering them instead of that pure love. And so this is what you need to realize and examine your life by. So your life will be speaking to you now. And the pains, the sufferings, the sorrows, you need to examine very closely why those are occurring in your life and spend time each day. Okay, it has to be a consistent thing because you've got to get in tuned. It's like you've got to break through that darkness and start to see the light. But the light is there. That light is that beautiful Spirit of God because He is here. Okay? But you're so cloaked in darkness you can't even see the light because of all your idols that are covering you and surrounding you. So you've got to get in and find that light. And how you do, you have to go into that pain. But know that when you go in there that you will find God. Okay? Because He is there waiting to heal you. That's what Christ came to do. This is a time of healing. And this is how you do it. Okay? So your finances are a wreck. Okay? Look at why. Okay? Because there's probably behaviors in there that you're doing. You're shopping to, that's another thing. People spend all this money to, again, cover those feelings within them. Okay? It's like sedating them. It's like a drug. Same thing. It's like the gambling. It's like a drug. All these things, we have to go into that pain and seek to experience and to know God's perfect love, because that's what will remove that shame. It is understanding His perfect love for you. Okay? Because that shame and what those idols create, right? So you have the idols to cover that worthlessness feeling that creates that humiliation of being a vessel that is just worthless. That's all lies. Okay? But your belief in them makes them real. And you can see that by people's actions. Okay? Well, the idols create a lot of fear. And that's what keeps you attached to them. Because if that idol is removed, your shame is going to be exposed. That's the fear. Okay? The fear is defeated by understanding how faithful God is to you. Because when you start walking in the perfect love of God, you start seeing His faithfulness and how much He loves you and how what He wants to do for you is not harm you, not hurt you, not put you in hell, not put you in torment. He wants to deliver you from all those things. That's what you're doing to yourself. Okay? He wants to deliver you from all that stuff. And how He does it is by this process of coming in and healing you from within out. That is the work of Christ. Your salvation, saving you from yourself, your corrupted mind. So look at the fears in your life, because that will also help to reveal your idols, which will help to see where you're covering up those feelings. You've got to start, it's like digging, all right, to get through, to expose, because if you don't dive in and let that, and it go into that pain, into that shame, and seek the healing, then it's going to just become exposed because all those idols are starting to fall. And then you'll be standing there naked and you will be ashamed because you won't have the perfect love. So what you're going to feel is like everybody is looking at you and you are worthless and useless and unloved. That's what you feel. Okay, so when the bottomless pit is opened, okay, it says the smoke rises. So the bottomless pit is opened. What is opened? We're the bottomless pit. Okay? And the key that was opened was those that were walking with Christ. They gained the keys to the kingdom. Okay? And they're here. So they opened the kingdom up, that Spirit of God, and basically they opened up the pit and allowed the light to flood in. Okay? And when that light floods in, what happens is everything of the darkness is exposed. So now what you see are the locusts. The locusts are symbolic of those torments, of that shame becoming apparent. They eat away at everything. Okay? That is the symbolic of eating away of those idols. Those idols don't work for you anymore. They're going to fail. They're not going to serve you. They're not going to cover your shame and your brokenness. So you're going to stand there exposed, the very thing that you fear. Again, because that is how you're healed. You've got to see it. You've got to let that stuff go. But if you haven't been letting it go by the renewing of that teacher, it's like you're being thrown into the fire so that it will be burned away. And that fear, again, is attached to that feeling that death creates, that you are a worthless, unlovable creation, which are lies. Okay, so do you see how all these are tied together? So this is how you go through this fire. You need to take time every day, and I suggest in the morning, because there is a clarity that you'll be able to see with that, and you just need to look at your life. Okay, and it's a very, and see and list out your hardships, your problems, okay, and get real with it. And then what are the things that you're serving, that you sacrifice for, that you can't do without? And we all have had those things, okay? And seek those to be dissected, seek understanding in what those are. And I've already laid out the fundamentals for you, but each one of us has lies and a network of lies that keep us bound to those things. So that light is now here. So let that light shine and reveal all those lies so that you can let them go. So, because when you start letting those go and start seeking what is real love here, how do I really love myself perfectly? How do I love others? What does that mean? What does it mean to love in all honor and in righteousness and purity? Because if you desire those things, you are going to experience great healing. So the sooner that you understand the dynamics of what is happening in these times, and that's what I'm trying to relay here, the sooner that you're going to start experiencing healing and moving forward. Okay, because the moment, and that's repentance, it's saying, I don't want these idols anymore. I don't want these false fake coverings. I don't want these filthy garments. I want to be clothed in the perfect of love. That means you are going to be transformed so that you're thinking, acting, and in accordance with the perfect love. You are being transitioned. That's how hell and Hades, death are destroyed, is that we transition. Okay, so the people that have gone through this transition, they can be great helps and great lights to you, to help, because they've walked this path. And they can help you on this journey. So although you may feel like you're in outer darkness because all this is happening, seek for the light, because it is there, because that is why you're going through all that stuff, because it's causing so much pain. It's perpetuating death and hell and Hades, and now it's coming to an end. When God is here, it is no more. The suffering is coming to the end. There is a new heavens and a new earth. Everything is being transitioned. All the old garments are coming off, new ones are being put on, and that new one is the love, it's the perfect love. Because when you have that perfect love, you have light in your soul, and you don't have any shame. You feel like you could just stand there exposed because your heart is pure. It has been purified by Him. You have His heart. You've basically said, I don't want my ugly heart, I want your heart. But that's what He knits in you, that's what He creates in you, that's what His words to you create. That's why you have to spend time listening. What are the words that He's wanting to create in you? Okay, that we would recreate your spirit. What is the understanding that you need to be freed from those things? Okay, and ultimately that's what you're going to learn, is how greatly loved and valued you truly are. And that's why you need to seek how to love. What does it mean to abide in that? Where are the areas that you're not abiding in that? In whichever way, pray to see. Pray to have your eyes opened, because as long as you're in the dark and stumble around, you're never going to see. And there will be lights out there, those that have already gone through this process, that will help you to see your own darkness. So you have to have that humility of the heart to be able to look at yourself honestly, be letting go of all your garments and clothing and saying, I'm ready to be healed. This is when Jesus said, okay, do you really want to be healed? Then pick up your mat and walk. It takes our steps of faith and obedience. Okay, and as we start saying, yes, I want to be healed, and so therefore you will see my actions in whatever little steps of obedience you can, that God leads you to do, to stop engaging in this behavior or this relationship or whatever it is. You're going to start seeing that love come in and that healing flood in. And when you start doing that, you're going to start moving out of that darkness and you're going to start moving toward the kingdom. It's a great time of refinement. Understand why you're going through what you're going through. Don't think that you're just suffering for Christ's sake and you just got to buckle down and bear through it. No. When the kingdom comes, those that are in Christ are in peace. All that is purged. No evil can come into your home, into your vessel, because you have the presence of God. That's the authority now. Okay? It can't come near you. So no more excuses. This is about you getting real with your life.